If you've not practiced stretch before, or stretch and rest, which we have on a Friday, don't worry. It is based around a practice called Yin Yoga, which I will tell you a little bit about as we go through it. Main difference being that if you've practiced like the slow flow or energize or flow classes, you're holding shapes for a couple of breaths or one breath, one movement. This is going to be a couple of minutes for each shape, depending on how active the shapes are. So for now, just maybe close the eyes, take a deep breath, let yourself start to settle. And softening into the face. Into the shoulders, the arms, the upper body. And as you exhale, perhaps you just imagine and feel a sense of softness that slides all the way down into the lower body, down to the soles of the feet. So just arriving in perhaps your own body, maybe you've not kind of connected with your own body all day or week, or maybe you're not really sure what that even means. Arriving in the space, things like getting used to the sound of my voice, the sound of the music, any outside sounds you can hear, but just let them drift into the background. And then perhaps any internal dialogue that you've got. So anything that might be cropping up in your mind. And we give it its little bit of space, but if it's not kind of useful for our practice, then it might be best that we just allow it to be released. And sometimes it's one thought that we kind of fixate on, or one scenario in the mind. Often it can be many, many branches. So just for the next few moments, bring awareness to your mind. That might be taking your awareness up to the space between the brows or the crown of the head. Just note what little branches of thought happen there. And feel as if you take each one, and as you exhale, you just gently allow it to be released out of nose or mouth. It might come back in, we give it its moment, and then we allow it to gently be released. So stay with that if you can, just for a little while. And gently allow that to fade away. It can be useful when we are practicing things that are a bit more still and silent and introspective to have a focus point. So you might pick a word. It might be how you want to feel in this practice: calm, grounded, connected. It might be how you want to feel this week or this month. And you could make it into your own little affirmation by just adding "I am" on the front of it. So I am calm, I am connected, I am grounded. If that works, just repeat that, whisper it in your mind 3 times. And know that you can come back to it on the mat and off the mat as well. Let's bring awareness to the breath. So that might be towards the belly, that might be out of the nostrils or in the nostrils. And you might find that your exhales are a little bit longer in this kind of practice. So that can help you to release physically, mentally, as we've just kind of discussed and thought about. And don't be afraid to sigh. And you'll also find that you have longer to connect with your body. So yin works deeper into the body. This is more about flexibility. Our other practices are more about strength, but together that's kind of the perfect combination, really. So we're going to start to bring a little bit of movement into the body. So perhaps into the face, the fingers, the wrists, the arms. Just move in a way that feels natural for you to reawaken. There isn't any right or wrong. Some movement into the legs, the feet, the toes. And then perhaps the whole of the body. So let's sweep the arms up and back behind us. You might catch hold of opposite wrists or elbows. Point the toes away. Take a nice full body stretch. As you exhale, release the arms down by the side of you. Let's step the feet to the earth. And as we inhale, bring the knees in towards us. Catch hold of whatever works there. Just giving your knees a little squeeze in towards you. You might naturally find that you just have a little rock from side to side. And from here, as long as it feels okay for you, catch the backs of your thighs and just start to roll up and down the spine until you bring yourself into a seated position. And we're going to come into butterfly. So the knees are wide, the soles of the feet are together. We've got our heels a little bit away from our seat here. So when we look down, we can kind of see a diamond shape. And we might pop our blocks underneath our thighs. You might use your bolster for your head, or you might not. So we'll tilt the hips and the heart forward. It means that we can just get that little bit of momentum when we fold. Nice deep breath in. And as we breathe out, maybe we just kind of come to our first stopping point. We could close the eyes. And on the next breath out, there might be a little bit more space that we feel confident to come into, or we might have reached a point where we actually feel like, yeah, where I am now is fine. The bolster, if you wanted to use it for the head, can be popped onto the feet. And you can just rest the head there. It's completely up to you. Nothing wrong with letting your head just hang heavy as long as your neck's okay. So we're going to start with a minute and a half here. And this is why it's important that in our stretch or yin practices, we don't kind of push it to our maximum straight away, because over time, we're going to feel like we kind of drift a little bit deeper perhaps anyway, and that's just going to be a natural occurrence. So soften as much as you can into both upper and lower body. The exhale breath is the breath that kind of releases and relaxes us. You might even feel like you want to take an inhale and just lift up slightly, find some space, and then as you exhale, just gently drop into that space. Let the jaw be soft, the brow be soft. Got just over 30 more seconds here. And you don't have to stay in the shape. So if for some reason you feel like physically or maybe emotionally it's just not really working, gently draw yourself away and find a shape that you feel does work in that moment. It's all about that kind of constant connection, that constant awareness. Nice and slowly, we'll just start to unravel. Come back up to a neutral spine. We're going to close the legs. Just drop them over to one side, whichever you feel called to, and sweep the feet behind you. So we end up coming into a hands and knees position. So knees are maybe hip distance, they could be wider. Let's just have a little wiggle of the hips from side to side. And then a couple of cat and cow, just nice and loose as we inhale, belly dips, heart opens. As we exhale, spine to sky, chin to chest. Just taking one more. Back to neutral. Hands stay as they are. We start to walk the knees backwards. So we want to keep our hips and our knees in line if we can. Drop down onto the elbows. The bum lifts nice and high. We might feel the belly coming towards the thighs. So we could stay here, just let our head soften. Or if it feels okay, we start to slide the fingertips forward. So the forehead and the chest start to drift down to the earth while the bum stays nice and high. Feel into that as you first arrive in it. And if that feels very intense, we could perhaps cross the arms, catch hold of opposite elbows. You could pop a bolster just kind of at the top of your chest. So that will help to maintain the lift, but it's also something that you can just kind of relax onto. We're going to up it slightly here to 2 minutes. We've already been here 30 seconds, so a minute and a half from here. If that doesn't feel like it's feasible, then bring yourself back into tabletop and maybe into just a seated position from there. So we've got just over a minute left. Perhaps the eyes are closed. As we exhale, there's that softening of the heart. So sometimes called melting heart or anahata asana. Anahata is our heart in the chakra system. Maintain a nice connection with your practice. Last few breaths here. At this point, you might kind of really be starting to feel it. So we just be truthful about whether we need to dip ourselves out of the shape. And from wherever we are, we're going to come all the way down onto the front of the body. So if you come back into tabletop, that's fine. You might need to lower yourself that way. If we're in puppy pose or melting heart, we can just come forwards. You can spread the legs as wide as you need them, cross the arms. Either bring the forehead down onto the arms, or if it's more comfortable, you could come with the one side of the head. So what we don't want to do in any of our shapes is kind of squash our nose so we haven't got any space to breathe. So make the decision that is best for you. And you might feel like it is slightly more difficult to breathe. So we bring our arms up and we've got pressure on our belly. We need to work that a little bit harder just to draw the breath. Let whatever parts of you that can soften, soften. So we'll take it into our second little back bend in a moment. When you're working with back bends, we're normally working with the front of the body as well. So just be mindful that you work with front and back, however you feel is best for you. I'm going to bring the legs back to about hip width, tops of the feet down, so that can help us a little bit. And we'll bring the hands underneath the shoulders. We're squeezing the sides of the body here, and then we start to slide the fingertips forwards and lift the chest. So we could slide right away and just lift the chest a little bit here, or we could kind of have shoulder and elbow in line, and you'll find that it's more of a severe angle and there's more of a squeeze, a little compression in your low back. So feel out what works for you. Try not to kind of squash into the neck. So we're pushing and lifting the heart. Another way we could work with it, if we feel it's too much for our neck, is to drop our head down, but we've still got a nice long neck. So this is our Sphinx position. We're still going to take 2 minutes here. And the best way to kind of adjust this is to slide the arms further forwards or further backwards, dependent on your angle. If you feel like I've had enough, cross the arms, pop the forehead down, let the legs go wide. You might close the eyes or just soften into the gaze. Just have that gentle focus on the breath. As simple as breathing in, breathing out. Just over a minute to go here. If this starts to feel like it's not okay, then just make a little adjustment if you need to. It might just be you take a couple of breaths out and then you feel like, oh, I can come back in, or it might be that you've had enough. So yin is one of those things, well, you know, like any practice in yoga, it takes a little bit of time to build up. It's not restorative yoga, so if someone tells you it is, then just please tell them on my behalf they're wrong. So restorative yoga is lying down and much more relaxing. Some of the shapes cross over, but this would not be considered to be restorative. There's, you know, action happening here. Last couple of breaths. Let's slowly lower down, cross the arms. You might benefit from having a wiggle of the hips or bending the knees and just swishing the feet from side to side, or anything else. So we just take that little pause, and we've kind of done double back bends and heart openers there. So we're going to take a nice little counter pose in a moment, but we'll let that one settle first. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders, kneecaps to the earth. A little bit of effort required as we push, come onto the knees, lift ourselves into tabletop. From there, the ideal kind of counter pose is something where we're rounding off the spine and we can relax. So we can come into our version of child's pose with our knees together. So nice rounded spine, arms by the side of the body. That doesn't work for everyone. So if it doesn't, you might take the knees apart and you could rest on your bolster. You could rest the forehead to your block. For me, I need a bolster because otherwise my bum is lifting really high, but you feel into that. So when you first get there, just kind of feel out, do I need to adjust here in any way? Am I going to be okay here for 1 minute as a counter pose? Maybe closing the eyes, nothing to see. Again, just trying not to squish the nose too much, so we still want to be able to breathe. Halfway there. Let's plant the hands down, start to push ourselves back into our tabletop position. And from here, we're going to step our right foot forwards. Take it nice and wide so we come to the right edge of the mat. And just check that your left knee feels okay. So if you've got hip and knee kind of right in line, it's a lot of pressure. You could slide the knee back, but we don't want to slide it back too far. You could always pop a blanket there. Probably going to use the blocks. We're going to keep this knee and toes pointing forwards as best we can. So just have a little movement forwards and backwards, kind of nothing fancy, just to warm up and get ourselves prepared for the weight and the load. And then as we exhale, I'm going to start to come down inside this right leg. So keep the right inner leg nuzzled into this right arm. You might need to adjust the height of your blocks or not. Remember, you can always stack them. You've got the flatter block. You've also got a bolster. So we're going to go through a little sequence. You might know this as a lunge or something called Anjanyasana, which is a low lunge. In Yin, we will call it lizard. So this is our low lizard. I'm going to take a minute here and then change into two different versions. But if you feel like this version is kind of, it's the challenge, you don't want to take it any further, that is fine. So just be really truthful. So from here, if you want to give it a little bit of a whirl, you don't have to, you can stay where you are. We'll start to lift the torso up. And this is where we're going to open out into this right side a little bit. So we'll be pressing down with the left hand. We might turn the right toes out a little bit. And we're pressing with that left hand just to lift and turn the chest. So we don't even need to kind of put our hand anywhere near this right side and push it. Just that action of lifting and turning will help. So feel into that. If you naturally come onto the outside edge of your right foot, if there's space, go for it. If there's not, then please don't. And we'll take that minute here. But if you feel like, actually, I think I prefer to go down to the lower lizard, then come back down to that. Nice, steady breath. You might just take a spot to gaze at. Or you might decide that you feel steady enough to close the eyes. Just let the face be soft. We're halfway there already. So feel into how this is for you. Our third version is a little bit different. It's a bit more active. We turn our toes and our body back to center. I'm going to take our blocks either on the flattest or the second level. Really, that depends on length of arms and the length of this front leg. And we'll tuck the back toes and lift that back knee and scoot the toes back as far as we can. And see if you can draw the shoulders back, the crown of the head forward. So we're not squashing, we're really finding space and length all the way down the body. So this one is more active, so we'll take half the time there. If you need to drop the back knee, then please do. Don't feel like, oh God, I've just got to keep it lifted. We're halfway there. And this is really where that kind of focus point or just steady breath in, steady breath out can help, gives us something to rely on. If you feel like you could take another 30 seconds, then we'll keep the knee lifted, or you can pop it down. It's completely up to you. Last 10 seconds. Let's pop that knee down, really well done. We'll step the front foot back, extend it away behind you, toes to the earth, just have a little push into the heel. And then back into tabletop. I'm going to take it all on the other side, but don't expect that kind of the other side is exactly the same. We just see how it goes. So left foot comes forwards. We adjust that right knee, and then we just have that little bit of movement, of kind of warming up into this side, preparing the body. Find the point of the knee and the toes forwards. We take a breath in, and as we breathe out, we just start to nuzzle down inside that left leg. So this side of the body might feel more open, less open. We're not comparing, and just kind of be curious. Not forgetting sometimes we have injuries or little niggles on one side versus the other. And we do have a dominant side. We're softening into this as best we can. We're going to run through those 3 little versions again, just in the way that works for you. So feeling into this left side, how are we in our low lizards? Maybe that feels enough and we stay there. When we start to lift the torso, we're pressing into that right side so that we get that nice little turn of the heart space. So the left toes might turn, we might be on the outside edge of the foot. We're forcing nothing. If that doesn't feel quite right on this side, then we'll just turn ourselves back towards the earth and come into our low lizard. Halfway there. Last couple of breaths. As we exhale, we start to turn the body back to center, toes, hips, knees turn forward. We'll plant the hands down, tuck the back toes, lift that back knee, and just gently scoot the toes away, draw the shoulders back, the crown of the head forwards. So pick a spot that you can gaze at on the floor. And we'll start with our 30 seconds. And then if you feel, yeah, I want to drop the knee, do that. If you feel like, okay, I'm in a place where I can carry on, there's no pain. It might be quite strong sensation. This is really where it differs from restorative yoga. There's not a lot of sensation in restorative. It's just about relaxing. So we've already hit that 30-second mark. Do we need to drift down? Or do we feel okay as we are? Just be really honest. We want to preserve our body for as long as we can. If we've still lifted as we exhale, let's drop the back knee down. And let's start to take that front foot back, extend it away, a little push into the ball of the foot. And then into our tabletop position, knees to one side, feet to the other, as we just swivel round. And we're going to extend the legs forward. So you could have the legs a little bit closer together, but as we're kind of folding in between them, it can feel quite nice just to create some space. You might want to sit on the edge of your blanket. So a lot of forward folding is about tilting your hips and working with your heart. We'll have soft toes. We'll take a breath in. As we breathe out, we lead with the heart. We might pause halfway, or we might start to come down, and we let the head be heavy. So if the backs of your knees are kind of like, oh, that's quite intense, you could pop a block behind each one. You could come onto your heels. Let your face relax, your shoulders. Similar to when we were in butterfly, you can always use your bolster just to balance the top of the head on. So we're going to take 1 minute here. And it's positions like this that kind of give us that freedom to just drift. We might find that we've kind of found the ideal space. We might find that we just slowly soften. And we're just switching off from the outside world as best we can, making that connection with inner world, which sometimes is scary. Last couple of breaths in this one. It's kind of a mixture between something we call caterpillar in yin and a straddle or dragonfly. Nice, and slowly we just start to emerge. Let's take the fingertips, turn them away from us, just kind of drop back into the body. Little squeeze of the shoulder blades, bring control of the head. You might look to the sky. I feel as if we're breathing into the heart space. We've done quite a lot of turning inwards, so it's nice just to open it up. Chin to chest, walk the hands back in, and then we're going to settle ourselves down onto the mat. So have a little sip of water if you need it, pop some extra layers on, and you might want a bolster for behind the knees. You might want your blanket or eye pillow. So just have them within reaching distance, and we'll really gently Just take ourselves down onto our back. We're going to bend the knees, tuck the chin slightly to the chest, so there you can feel that the whole of your spine can just lay itself into the earth. Let's take the feet out wider, let the knees knock in. So you've got kind of like an inverted V, lovely. And as we exhale, let the knees just drift over to the right with as little effort and intervention as you can. Just let them go boop, both to the right side of the body. Keep your shoulder blades both on the earth if you can. You might take the elbows just a little bit wider or spread the arms. Just let the face relax. Maybe the eyes even close. Let's slowly start to bring the knees back to center and the gaze. Step the feet wide, knock the knees in. And then as you next exhale, we'll drift them over to the left. So again, just as naturally as you can. Let's come gently back to center. And you might choose to keep your feet stepped wide, your knees knocked in. So that can be quite nice if you have any back niggles. You might want to slide your legs down onto the mat. You might want to roll over onto the side of your body and just kind of snuggle up there. So really mindfully just kind of lay your limbs down to rest in the way that feels best for you. A little tuck of the chin to the chest, just so we find some length in the back of the neck. And you might close the eyes or cover the eyes, or if you don't feel okay to do that, that's fine. Maybe you just gaze to the tip of your nose as you are blinking slowly and easily. You might choose to come back to your breath. Just start breathing in, breathing out. If you had a word that became an affirmation, you might just be whispering that in your mind. Or a perfect affirmation for Shavasana is I am resting. I am resting.
Just bringing awareness back to your breath. You might take a deeper breath or a sigh. Awareness to your body. And just the space you're in. Slowly starting to bring some movement to your body. Just whatever feels right. You might feel that you want to expand out or just keep it very small. And then rolling yourself over to right or left, wherever you feel drawn to. Just taking a little pause there. Just keep the eyes closed or just have that sleepy gaze as you push into the earth. Just bringing yourself up to find a comfortable seat, nice tall spine, but not rigid. And you might place the hands just onto the heart space and take a little moment to thank yourself. To thank each other. And thank you for trusting me, for joining me. The light and dark in me honors the light and dark in you. Namaste.